Hi guys, it's Becky, and today I want to make two statement necklaces using the contents that came in our Potomac Beads Treasure box, because there are some really great, fantastic, individualized check glass beads. Actually, there was way too many things in this box. There was just so many. But one of my favorite things that we got in this box were these fantastic die chrome, I can't remember the name of it, it's on here somewhere. What was it? The dichro beads. That's these ones that have like two different colors, and you might have gotten ones with different colors than I did, but I definitely want to use these for a statement necklace. Y'all know I love a short necklace, and it is going to be really easy to make a shorter necklace with these that makes a statement that is very, here I am rocking like a hurricane. We're gonna grab some of these. I'm gonna save two of these because I also want to make some matching earrings to go with them. So we'll probably also do that during this video, but I want to make two necklaces and probably two pairs of earrings. Yeah, we'll do that. So I'm going to be pulling these out for one of the necklaces to go with this in my necklace. I am also going to be using these angel wing beads, which someone had mentioned that they don't really look like angel wings to them. They look like half moons, and I totally agree. And we've got silver on these, but then we've got our gold on this, and I think that that kind of mixed metal-y tone is going to look great together and just be really, really fantastic. And I'm going to grab these rondelles as some spacers too. There are these ones that are also duo chrome. They are silver on one side, black on another. And I'm just going to pull these guys out and we'll get started with our necklace number one. It's going to be real simple, real pretty. I may be using these as some spacers as we go up the back of my guy, or you know what? I might just be using these two colors of check glass actually. These are gonna go probably, we'll see how far I get with these. I probably am not gonna need all of them, but they are gonna go with our guys here. So statement necklace is gonna be like a smaller necklace, a shorter necklace that has pow. It has, you know, big beads. It has everything just right up front for you to see. Again, I can't believe there's so many beads in here. There's a lot more things that you can do with this box. I mean, we've still got our briolets. We've still got these, and these are what we're going to be using for our second one. We're going to be using these fantastic crackly triangle beads. So we'll get to that when we get to that. But let's do one of our necklaces first. And for closures, I am going to be using these clasps. I had some left over from a previous treasure box. They're these figure 8 clasps. We got one with this box, but I already used it for a different project. It was for the bracelet that I made with y'all, and it was a bead woven bracelet. We're not going to do any bead weaving with this one. We're going to be using some beading wire. This is beading cable. It is their 7 strand in a 0.018 size. It works really, really well with 2x2 crimp tubes, which are my favorite type of crimp tubes to use. And I like to also crimp those using a magical crimper instead of, you know, the taco style crimper, or just pressing it flat with a thing, because it makes a really nice bead that looks good and you don't have to use a crimp cover on. So we're going to be using those when we get to that. I've also got the little bead stopper. They have these on the website too, but they also sent some in some of our bead boxes. So if you have some of the past boxes, you have some of the other things that I'm using. If you don't, you can find these at Potomac Beads, or just use a clasp and some wire from your stash to follow along with this. And I actually am probably not going to be using these in this design. I just don't think I want to bring that blue in when we're just metals and crystal and black. That's the color scheme that we're going on for this one. So because it's going to be a shorter necklace, I'm going to go ahead and cut off my beading wire. You can measure it out, or just figure out where you want it to hang around your neck, and then add about 4 inches for crimping. So that is going to do me, that is about 20 inches. I'm not going to use all of this wire, but I would rather have extra wire that I'm not using than have too short of wire and run out and have something else and have to use an extender chain or something like that. I don't want to have to do that with this one. So, and I still have plenty of beading wire left, and because it's going to be all statementy, I'm going to have probably a front and a back to this necklace. That's why I brought my little bead bug. We're going to start from the middle and go outward. All right, so I'm going to plop that on the end so that as I'm stringing, I am not going to run out of room. These guys are going to go over here to the side because we're not going to use them yet. These guys will probably be along the back side, but I am going to lay some of these out. And like I said, I'm going to be pulling 2 of these aside so that I can make matching set of earrings. I'm going to set these off over here so I don't accidentally put them in my necklace because that would not be a fun time for me. And I'm just going to use all of these in the necklace. And actually, we might not get to these at all. All right, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there are 9. So we are going to be centered. We're going to have 1 in the center and 4 along the sides. That is great. That was perfect. And what I'm going to do with these angel wings is, you see how they've got like a silver side on the back, and then they've got their crystal side on the front. I want to make sure that the crystal side is going to be visible on the front. And I'm just going to curve them around the edges of each of these diamonds like that, like they're just parentheses talking about something right there in between. I'm just laying this out as my little design before we start stringing, so we know where we're going, we know where we're starting, and we know where we're going to end. Sometimes I just start stringing and make it up as I go. Sometimes I lay it out. It all depends on how I'm feeling, how complicated the design is, and what else is going on with me that day. So again, these are really quick and really easy designs that anyone can do. You don't have to be an expert at stringing in order to do this. And I'm going to end up popping these rondelles in between each of these angel wing, diamond angel wing sections like that. I love it already. I haven't even strung it together. I think it's going to be gorgeous. Again, statement-y. Look at me. Kind of a necklace. It's going to be on the heavy side, but that's okay. That's why we're not doing a real long necklace, because that would just weigh down your neck so much. Because these are all solid glass beads. They all go together really, really well. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Okay. So I need to grab some more angel wings, and it's entirely possible that I may end up using most of my angel wings out of this box, which is going to be a fun adventure for me. Let's grab more angel wings, guys, because I'm almost out on here, but I do have plenty more in the box. This is a very bead heavy box. I mean, we had that whole mix too, and there's a ton of beads in there that we can do some really fun things with. And I still haven't done anything with these ladybug beads, but I got plans percolating, guys. I got plans. And these card beads, I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted. I'm getting distracted. Let's keep going. It's hard not to get distracted sometimes when you are surrounded by pretty, pretty things. I love how this is gonna look. That's how it's gonna look when it's strung. Let's get it on our wire after I finish getting this all the way out here. More. Oh, I'm gonna need one more wing. These are my parentheses. I'm gonna think of them as parentheses, not as angel wings, just because they bracket things, and that's what they're doing. They're bracketing our diamonds. They're like, hey, this is an important thing for you to look at. Look at this right here. Look how beautiful. And that's what I'm using them as in this design. You know, I'm just gonna plop that guy right there. All right, scooch these guys over here to the side on here, and I'm gonna start stringing. Here we go. I'm just gonna start from this end and go back over here to this end because I want my thing to cup it. I'm gonna start on the rounded end, the outer edge of this, and then put this guy on, and then the next bead, when I string it, I'm going to string it with the curved inside edge, the inside of the curve instead of the outside of the curve. And then we put on our spacer, and we go outside curve, diamond, inside curve. And these will spin, so it doesn't really matter which side is facing as long as it's inside curve or outside curve. And then once I've got this strung on, I'm going to judge how long it is. And a great thing about using big beads is that it's not going to take me very long to get these on the wire. But yeah, we'll judge the length, and if I need to add more length, I'm going to be doing it with these check glass fire polish beads over here, the faceted rounds. That's how they were listed. That are crystal and black. So I just put on a roundel, so we're going an outside curve, diamond, inside curve. And this is, again, really quick. It's really easy. Anybody can do this. I believe in you. We're just putting our beads together. All right, let's close that up. Just keep beading, just keep beading, 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 beading. I hope y'all are having a great time. I have the day off, so I get to spend the day doing beading and making some jewelry. And it is a really great way for me to spend my day off. Did I skip any of these? Did I have an extra one here that I don't need? I might have grabbed an extra guy out here. All right. Oh, well, I have 2 extra of those too. Okay, so rondelle, my guy. Pay attention, Becky. Sometimes I get distracted because I'm busy talking and I don't pay attention to what I'm doing. But also, even if I wasn't making a video, I would still be talking to myself while I was making. So you guys aren't distracting me. It's me. I'm the problem. Just trust me on this. All right, so this is our last little repeat because, again, we're saving these guys for some earrings. And let's get these guys on here. And I think I want to close it out with one of these spacers, with one of these roundels. All right, and we'll add one to the other side too. So that we've got that. These bead stoppers are great because it means you don't have to worry about your beads flying off when you're adding things. So I'm going to check the size and see how much longer I need to make this. But already this is a statement. This is, you can just wear this as it is. All right, so I need to make it about that much longer for that. So let's grab pull 4 of these guys out and set them over here with the other large beads because they're going to be part of the earrings. And then I'm going to grab the rest of my angel wings. And let's see how this goes with my crystal beads. I'm not sure if I'm going to use the black beads with these. Maybe I will. Yeah, actually, we will be using the black beads. All right, I'm just talking to myself. Mutter, mutter, mutter. You didn't know that you'd be having a mumblecore here. So I'm going to grab these, and instead of them bracketing the diamonds, they are going to bracket just these crystal fair polish beads. Like that. And then I'm going to pop this black bead right there next to it. And I think that will allow us to add some length without disrupting too much the pattern that was already established. But it'll definitely give us a definite distinct difference between our front of our necklace and our back of our necklace. All right, so after this one, I'm gonna just swap my little bead stopper over from one end to the other so I can build up this end, doing the same side. And it's just proportional differences. Since the bead that's in the middle between these parentheses is so much smaller, I wanted the bead between them to be a little bit bigger. And that's the only consideration in that design choice, to use these beads instead of these for my spacers in between my parentheticals. It looks like when I took this off the strand, I left a little bit of plastic here in this hole. That makes it really difficult to get your bead wire through it. But it is an easy problem to fix. All right, I'm going to check my size now, because it's possible that this may be long enough, but it's also possible that I need another set of parentheses going back up the other side. So I'm going to grab this, hold it up to my neck, pull it around, and yep, I do need another set on each side. So again, bead stopper, get that on there. And we are almost done with our first super simple, super easy statement-y necklace. There we go. Also, I like odd numbers of groups. So, you know, I've got 9 of these across here, and just having 2 of these instead of 3 it felt a little weird to me. So I'm glad that it was necessary for length. I am not going to add any more after that. Let's go ahead and do the other side so it is even. Stevens. All right. So we've got these guys here. Perfect. Perfect. All right. Let's move this out of the way. Let's move these guys out of the way because I am not using them anymore. And I can use some of these for another design when I get around to doing those. And I'm going to save those other clasps for another day. And I like the fact that we've got silver, we've got kind of the gold color, and we've got bronze. So it's a total mixed metals on this. Mixed metals are trendy. I'm going to go ahead and grab myself a crimp tube and let's crimp on our closures. I have 2 crimp tubes, 1 for each side. On this side, I'm going to slide the crimp tube on, and it doesn't matter which side is the front or back. It really doesn't. So I can do either one of these. So I slide the crimp tube on, it hangs out right there next to my beads. And then I'm just going to put my wire through the closed part of my clasp and then slide the wire back through the crimp tube. And if the wire will fit through my next bead, I will go through a couple of these beads with it because it just makes me feel a little more secure with my crimping and with my beading. If there's a little bit of extra space on the other side of the crimp, there we go. All right, now I like to have a little bit of space between the bead and the crimp, and this is how I use the magical crimper. I'm going to just stick my thumbnail in between the bead and the crimp so that there's space for the crimp to go through there. I'm going to scooch a little bit closer so you can watch me do my crimping. If you've never seen a magical crimper, it's my favorite tool. I love it. It has this concavity inside of it so that when you squeeze it, there's like this empty place on the inside, but then it squeezes all the edges. And the first time you do it, it's going to make it look like a little ravioli. And you'll be like, oh no, sharp edges, I hate that. But you keep going. If you come at it from a different angle and clamp down on it again, and then rotate your angle, clamp down on it again, rotate your angle, clamp down. Each time you rotate it and come at it from a different angle, the sides smush the edges down and form it into a smooth little ball of crimp right there. So then you don't need a crimp cover. You don't have those sharp edges digging into your skin while you're wearing it, and it holds really well. And this was designed specifically for this size of beading cable. So it's perfect for that. I love that. I'm gonna go ahead and clip this. And let's crimp the other side. You ready? You ready for this? Move that aside. And now we're ready for crimping the other side. I've got my end here, and I've got my crimp tube. I always put the crimp tube on first, whether you use a magical crimper or a traditional crimper or a taco style crimper. Now that I've got that on there, like that, I can go through the end of my other end of my clasp and bend this around and go back through the crimp bead and several of these beads. I'm going to stop it right here after this angel wing though. And we're going to tighten this up. I don't want my necklace to be too tight because that is a great way for your necklace to break, is there's just too much pressure on your crimp. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of curl this around so that the necklace still has some movement, so it's not too stiff. And that way where I crimp it is going to be an appropriate place for it to be able to wear. And again, I need some space between the crimp bead and the bead next to it so I don't damage it. So I use my fingernail to make that space. And we're going to make a little ravioli with our sharp pointy bits on the other sides. Then we're going to rotate it and come at it from a different angle. And rotate it and come at it from a different angle. And we're just going to keep going around until it is a spherical little ball of crimp that looks like a little bead. You know, it looks like a little spacer right there. I love these crimps, sorry. But it also looks really great with all of these beads. And this is necklace number 1 for our 2 easy necklaces video here. I'm going to scooch back so you can see the whole thing. There we go. I forgot that I wasn't scooted out. So this is our first statement necklace. Look how shiny it is. Look how sparkly. I'm going to put it around my neck because I like making things and wearing them right away. I'm going to wear it while we make our second necklace. Now my second necklace was these, and I'm also going to set aside 2 of these for some matching earrings. I'm going to set them over here in my little, these are going to be for earrings later, corner. And I've got these really great triangle beads. And these triangle beads have a hole drilled through the top, kind of like briolets that way. And so I thought, oh, wire wrapping would be great to make them into little drops on there. But I think that they would be great strung up together on a necklace. And if you just were to string them right next to each other, you could probably make something like this. But I want there to be some space between each of them. And so to do that, I'm going to use another bead in here that has a side drilled hole and kind of a different shape to it. The part where it's drilled is wider than the other part of this bead on here, and the part where it's drilled is narrower where it is here, so they are kind of a perfect fit for these to go between here. These are the gumdrop beads, and they've got a hole drilled through the fat side of them, so they will hang down like this. And I am 100% certain that they will make a fantastic necklace. Like, the focal part of this necklace will be a little bit shorter than the other one, but that's okay because it will make enough of an impact that we won't need more focal. So we've got our, how many are these? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 of these. So we don't have like a real center for this. And I'm just gonna plop these guys right here on either side. And because I feel like we really need a little bit more to this, we're going to have these really cool beads kind of bookending our statement. So that's going to be the center of our little universe here. And then I think for the rest of it, I'm going to be using these labradorite beads for the back end. And this is where we're going to pull in that blue to kind of pull it all together with our 11 seed beads. So the back of it is going to be some seed beads as kind of spacers between each of these labradorite beads as they go across. So we've got our blue statement in front, we've got these in the back, and actually I think I'm going to plop one of these in between each of these beads as well, so that it's not just this blue in front and this blue in back. It's going to be that blue everywhere. So let's get this, the front part, on our beading wire, and then we will work up the sides after we get that on there. So again, I want the length that will go around, that will go around my neck right there, and then I'm going to add 4 or 5 inches for crimping. That is a good way to make sure that you have enough beading wire for your project. Another thing I could have done would be to bead from the spool, to leave it on the spool and bead along, and then when it's long enough, go ahead and cut it off. But I'm not doing that today. No, I'm not. I'm doing this today. So let's get our front started. Let's plop this guy on here. It doesn't matter really where I put it on, as long as it's not like dead in the center. It's sort of on here. And because we're going to be bookending this, I'm going to go ahead and start with one of our very, very wide beads. I love these beads. They are so cool. And I think that this is going to be a really good place for us to use them. I'm going to spill out some of our seed beads. It's a really like misty kind of color of blue. And again, I'm using these as spacers, so we're going to have that color here with the rest of our beads. And then we're going to do a gumdrop and an 11-0. And then a triangle bead. And these triangle beads don't have a front and a back, so I can go in any way that I want, and they will rotate around to lay the way that I want them to in here. And you can see what a great complement these angles are to each other on these beads. Yeah, I am really glad I decided to put these 11-0s in here, because it also adds just a little extra there on that. Let me get this a little closer so you can see how those all look together. Yeah, I like that. All right, so we're going to go ahead and put the rest of these guys on here. And then I'm going to want to divide up my labradorite nuggets. You know what I did? Oh, wait, no, that was right. That was right. Whew, I thought I was doing it the wrong way. That's what happens when I get talking. I forget to do things, or I'm like, oh, hey, I don't need to pay attention to what I'm doing. I think that's the real danger when you do something easy, is that you're like, I don't have to pay attention to this. As opposed to when you're doing something that has more difficulty, you're going to pay attention because you have to. Because if you don't, you'll mess it up. Oh man, these are two wildly different necklaces, but they all come from the same bead box, and I'm happy about that. There's a lot of different things that you can do with this. There's a variety of beads. And I think Anna was saying in the unboxing that they just stuffed this box full of beads. They can't do it every month, but guys, this was not a problem. Like, I do not mind having so many beads to choose from. And actually this one, it looks like it's got like a little hair in it. There's an inclusion, so I'm just going to swap it out for one that doesn't have an inclusion, because, you know, I can do that because we have enough. We can do that. Bloop. Right. And I love these. These are just icy, the crackle glass, the triangle shape. They are so unique. I haven't seen these in any other bead boxes that I've seen. You're really great. These have kind of a flatter side and kind of a pointier side. And this one, the flatter side is closer to this and the pointier side points away. So I'm going to make sure that I am stringing this other one, the second one, in the same direction. I'm just trying to be symmetrical in my making. So this is going to be how it hangs, and you can see it hangs great with these next to each other on this bead. Stay right. Now I'm just going to work up the sides, but let me divide up my labradorite beads real quick. Let's get them off their strand, because the same amount of beads I have on one side, I'm going to want on the other. All right, so we've got a couple of smaller ones. We've got a couple of more smaller ones. The fun thing about nuggets is that they are very individual. That's also sometimes a frustrating thing about nuggets. You know, like, they don't always come in pairs. And it looks like I have one extra, so I'm just gonna set this guy aside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Swap these two around. There we go. And now I'm going to do 5 seed beads and then a labradorite bead, and then 5 seed beads and a labradorite bead. And then I'm going to check my length and see where we are. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And a lab. That looks really great, especially with this gray bead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a lab. One, 2, 4, 5, and a lab. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a lab. And then whatever length I need next to make it go all the way around the neck, I'll just use the seed beads for it after I get my labradorite beads on here, because I am going to be using all of these with this necklace. All right, let's just do 10 for now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Counting with Becky. That is the subheading for this channel. Also, Becky forgets things. Also, hanging out with friends. There we go. Bloop. So that goes all the way up the side. Let's do our other side exactly the same way, where we do 5 seed beads in a lab, 5 seed beads in a lab. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whoop. Where's my hole? I know there's a hole, and I know the hole works because the string that this was strung on, went through the hole. So I know there's one there somewhere. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Perfect. Bloop. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I forgot to put my lab on there. So hold on, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's pull these seed beads off. See, I told you. Didn't I tell you? Becky forgets things. That's just how we do. 1, 2, 3, 4. This color of seed bead is gorgeous next to these labradorites. I'm silver lined S something. I don't know the name of these, but they are Miyuki. It stops with S on there. 2, 3. I'll find the color listing for this color on the Potomac Beads site, so that if you want just this color, you can go buy that, because it is a really beautiful color for seed beads. And I have been enjoying working with it. It's really easy on the eyes. All right, so now that I've got my last lab on here, let's do 10 and check my length. So that'll tell me how many more seed beads I need to add up the back of my necklace. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's 5. And that is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, here we go. Oh, that's quite a bit more. Quite a bit more. So I'm going to stick this on here. Get more seed beads out here. Oof. And I'm going to stop counting, and I'm just going to start pushing these on here until I get about just a few more inches on here. I'm not counting anymore. We're going to get as many on here as we can. And then when it gets about 3 inches, maybe, I'll stop and get the same length. I'm going to go by length rather than count. I'll hold them up to each other and compare them to see if that's what they're doing. And for this, I've got my beads laid out here, and I'm tousling them up, because one of the ways that you can get them easier to pick up when you're doing this is to kind of roll your finger over the top, and then the hole faces up. So I'm tousling them up so that they're laying more on their side a little bit, so that when I come at them from the side, they'll just slide onto the end of my beading cable, instead of having to pick them up individually one by one, because that's how it works. This is kind of how a bead spinner works too, is you've got an end that goes through the beads really quickly, and then it'll pick up a lot of them. But I don't want them laying with their tops up. I want their tops on their sides. So I am periodically going through and kind of repositioning them when they get tipped over on their side. That's one of the cool things about the surface that I'm using, the bead on it board, this velour surface, is it really makes it easier to pick up seed beads when they sit nicely with their top up, because then you can just plop the end of your needle onto it and it tips it right onto there. But when you want to pick up a whole bunch, you've got to kind of go through like this. All right, I think that is several inches. I'm gonna swap my bead stopper over to this side, and I am going to pick up a whole bunch of beads and then compare lengths and see if we are the same length at that point. So let's tousle these guys up a little bit so they're laying on their side, so that when I bloop, bloop, bloop through there, it will jump right onto my beading wire. And that is not going as well. And I think it's because the end of this wire is cut a little bit flat. Someone had a really good tip that if you take your beading wire and kind of cut at an angle, it gives you a little bit of a sharp point. Don't know if you guys can see that. And that makes it a little bit easier for picking up beads like this. So I'm going to try that. Oh yes, that is working a little bit better. All right, yeah, that point was a little bit blunt, and now I've sharpened it up so it goes right on this wire a lot easier. It's a really good tip. I was glad I heard it, and hopefully it helps some of y'all as well. Yeah, and it's when I've been doing it and they all look like they're facing upwards, that's when I gotta readjust my pile and then go back through it. It's okay, I think if I overshoot my mark, I can always take beads off. Doesn't take as long to go back on here. And I'm not pressing down, dragging it along the bottom of here. I'm kind of hovering just like maybe a couple millimeters above the surface of this when I'm going through here. And it gives me a nice little bit of beads. I'm almost, I think, almost an even number. Let's just add a couple more on this side. Just a couple. So that was a lot faster than I thought it was going to go for that side. So they are an even number of beads. Sorry, I'm a little out of range. So there we go. Even size of the beads. I don't know if they're even numbered, probably because these beads are a very consistent size from one to the other, and that is going to be actually a really great length. I am just holding it up to my neck to check the size, and keep in mind when you're doing that your clasp is going to take up a couple of inches of space back there too, but I don't want it super tight. I want it to hang down a little bit but not too low, and that is a perfect size for that. So let's get some more crimps out, and we will crimp our clasps on, and we will have our second necklace for this video. Let's grab some more crimps, and then we'll do some really quick earrings to go with them, because it's nice to have some earrings that go with our necklaces. Or I could do a separate video with earrings. No, we'll make our earrings right here, right now. We'll do a live. No, it's not live. This is being recorded. And then I'm going to be off doing other things while you guys watch this. So I slide my crimp tube on here. I am kind of holding it in place above the line of my 11/0 seed beads because it's a fairly large crimp bead next to these 11/0s, and I don't want it to slide down my 11/0s this way. It needs to hold my clasp, and so that is what it's going to do up here. So I'm going to pop the end of my clasp here, bend my wire around, whoop, 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 and I'm losing my crimp. There we go. And have it pass through my crimp bead. I don't think I can do 2 passes of these through my, no, I'm not going to. That's too tight with my 11/0 seed beads. So I'm going to pull this down to make this loop a little bit smaller. You don't want it to be too small because you still want your clasp to have some movement as it moves around there. All right, now when I go to crimp this, I definitely want there to be space between my 11/0 seed bead and my crimp, because the crimp could crush these seed beads, and that's not what I want to do today. So I'm just making sure that I've got that space with my fingernail between the crimp and my 11/0. And I'm going to go ahead and grab my handy dandy crimpers. And we are going to crimp exactly the same way as we did before. And if I need to, I can pull those beads out of the way a little bit. And we're going to smoosh down, open it up, rotate it, smoosh down, open it up, rotate it, and just go at it from different angles and smoosh at it from all of those angles And it's going to make themselves a nice little crimp bead. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut this off right here next to my crimp bead. Using my flush cutter. And it is nice and secure. All right, other side. Let's do the other side. Same story. Slide on our crimp bead. I'm going to kind of pinch here to stop it from sliding down. And then put on our clasp. Bend our wire back. Whoop, what are you doing, buddy? And go through our crypt. Now with this one, I'm going to go ahead and bend this, coil it up in a circle so that we still have some movement. I don't want this to be tight on our necklace. Pull that down there. And just like with the other side, I want there to be some room between the crimp and this 11/0 seed bead. So I'm pushing with my fingernail to make some space. We're going to do our first crimp, rotate it, new angle, crimp, rotate it, new angle, crimp, and you just keep going around. This takes some practice if you've never done this before. And you got a nice little crimp bead on the end. Oop. All right, and this only works with 2x2 crimp beads. If you've got smaller crimp beads, you're going to want to use a traditional crimper, like the taco style ones where you fold it up and fold it up, and then probably a crimp cover because that always leaves kind of some rough edges. All right, I'm zooming back out so you can see the whole thing. This is going to be a great statement-y necklace to wear. I can already tell with this. So I've got 2 statement necklaces done. I'm wearing one. And now before we go, let's go ahead and make our earrings. Let's do it. I have my great big chonkers here. I'm going to be using these again for it, and some of these rondelles. And I'm just going to make some drops using these and a head pin that we can attach to an ear wire. And we got some earring backs with this. So actually, better idea. I am going to use some glue, and I'm going to attach these earring backs to these beads. Okay, so how am I going to get beading thread? That's how we're going to do that. We're going to grab our thread that also came in this box. It was the Potomac Beads dragon thread. Where's my dragon thread at? Bro, I just had it. Alright, well, you know what? I'm going to find the dragon thread, and we will come back for this shortly. I found my dragon thread. I'm ready to go. I have an idea for some earrings that will go with our super simple statement necklace, and this is going to be a really easy way to do some bead weaving. It is not going to be that complicated. I did grab from my stash some 15-0 seed beads. They are in a silver color. We're only going to need 4 of these. Oh, hey, look at that. They were all stuck inside the lid. So I'm going to just plop these guys right over here. And then to attach our, you could just use 11-0s. It doesn't have to be 15-0s. You could use the 11-0s that came in the box, in fact, if you wanted to. But all this is going to do is it's going to be an anchor bead with our thread. So let me pull off my dragon thread. And you're not going to need very much thread at all, but I'm going to pull off an arm's length because it's going to be a little bit easier for me to use than just the small amount that it's going to take. And so to do that, I'm going to kind of hold this lightly in this hand so it twists. And on the other end, I'm going to hold on to my thread right here. And I'm going to hold this one close to my chest, and this one I'm going to stretch out to my side. And that gives me an arm's length of thread that I can use. That's how I measure an arm's length. So I've got the dragon thread, and I'm just going to use a wide-eye needle because I'm not going to be making multiple passes. It doesn't need to be crazy, and it is just easier for me to thread a needle using a wide-eye needle. So I'm going to just plop this right in here. And I am going to, I think I'm going to go ahead and start it right here at the bottom of my bow. I'm going to leave myself some extra length if I'm holding this in my fingers and I bend this back. As long as it goes past my wrist, that's going to be long enough for me to be able to tie a knot with. That's how I measure it. You could use a ruler if you want. And then I go back up through my diamond. And then here is where I'm going to add my first anchor bead. You can use a stop bead if you want. That's fine. But my anchor bead to hold these two together is going to be my 11-0, sorry, my 15-0 seed bead. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's going to just kind of sit right up here at the top of this and hold my thread. It's like the bottom of a, you've got a flat bottom on a head pin. It keeps the beads from sliding off. It keeps it where you want it to be. So I'm just going to sew right back through. Hold on a little bit taut so I'm not sewing through my thread. I'm going to sew back through my diamond, through my little moon beam, my half moon guy, my smiley face, my parentheses, my angel wing. And when I pull this taut, that pops that bead right there, holds it in place. And I'm going to go through my little black rondelle because it's going to be my end point on my, it's kind of a geometric look on this. And then I'm going to do another anchor bead right here on the other side. I've got some fuzz here of my piece, and I'm just going to go through my black bead once to anchor it in place. I'm going to kind of pull both of these strands taut. Again, I'm not using very much thread on this. You can, if you want to, go through this whole thing up and down again to reinforce it. But it's an earring. It's not going to have a lot of weight on the actual thread itself. I just want these to be there together. So I'm going to take my needle off. Actually, no, I'm going to leave my needle on. And I have enough thread here that I can make my second one. But I am going to cut this here so that I can tie that knot in a minute. And I'm going to go ahead and do my second one while I have all of this threaded and it's ready to go. because I am going to be gluing these backs on here. And for glue, you could use E6000. You could use any of these others. I've got Loctite. I'm going to be using that to glue that on there. So we'll do that in a minute. But I've got my tail coming out here. I've got my thread going through my angel wing, my diamond, and my 15-0 here. I'm just going to go back through these other beads. I'm not sewing back into my 15-0, I just sew back into the diamond because the 15-0 is my anchor bead. This is a really simple way for us to have all of these beads stuck together without having to worry about wire wrapping or anything like that. I've got my black rondelle and this 15-0. I'm going to shove this right up against here and go back through the black rondelle. Right. Again, you can reinforce this if you'd like. Just go back up through here, back down, and it'll reinforce it. But I don't think I need to for these earrings. I'm going to go ahead and tie myself a knot with my thread. I'm going to do an overhand knot, left over right. And tie that real tight right there. And then I'm going to do a second pass, and that's going to be right over left. But I am going to wrap it around twice because that makes a surgeon's knot and it's a little more secure. And if you've got a thread zapper, you can zap this and burn it down. If you've just got a lighter, you can use that. But that gets me my little geometric shape that I can attach to my earring posts. All right, so we've got that. I'm going to tie a knot later for the other one, and I'll glue this other one later. Let me grab some scrap paper real quick to put underneath my work because I don't want to accidentally drip glue onto my bead mat. I want all of my gluing stuff to happen right here. And so now that I've got my little geometric shape that can dangle from an ear, I'm going to go ahead and glue my earring back to the flat side, and I'm going to kind of glue it closer up to the top of this diamond. You could glue it to about the middle and you'll get more of a just the middle of your ear look, but I'm just going to go ahead and glue it right up here to that side. I'm going to use my Loctite for that. Let's unscrew this. Make sure we don't have any Loctite at the cap. All right, and I'm going to apply this super glue right here to the back. Just a little dollop will do ya. And I'm gonna not touch this for 24 hours. So I will glue my second one on later off camera so that we can see that. And then for this, because I'm gonna be using these earring backs, I thought the easiest, best, and fastest way to get a little statement-y earring to go with this statement-y necklace would be to leave this bead just as it is and go ahead and glue an earring back right to it. I think it's going to look beautiful. Wait till you see it. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my Loctite, glue a little bit to this back here. And because it has such a nice flat back, I'm just going to put it right there. Hold on, let me adjust this, the placing a little bit. This is a clear glue, so there's not a ton of it that's going to be showing. I do actually have a little bit to clean up here on the side. All right, be careful with this when you have it. Don't glue your skin together. It's not as bad as like super glue, but it'll roll off your fingers if you need to. So I'm gonna do that one. And since I've got my glue out and everything, I'm gonna go ahead and do this one too. And then I will leave them be for 24 hours. So that the glue can cure. Now, the fun thing about Loctite is it will actually set up fairly quickly. You don't have to wait 24 hours. I just do because I feel better about the longevity of the earring at that point. So we'll actually, you know what? I can tie this. I'm just gonna go ahead and tie this. I'm gonna finish them up right here on camera. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, making some matching stud earrings to go with our statement necklaces. They are going to look really great together. And when it's finished, I'll take a photo of them all together. When it's finished curing, I'm going to go ahead and glue this on while I've got the glue out, and that way I can pick this up and set it aside so that we can take a second look at our necklaces. There we go. Again, about the same place. I need to fix my placement. Hold on, my hand was a little shaky. There we go. Perfect. So let's put our glue away. I'm going to slide this off so I can pick it up and move it closer to the camera. You can see it's just going to be both of my earrings. They've got their earring backs on. I'm going to set this in a safe place so I can finish curing. And just move this aside. It's one of the fun things about the bead on it boards is you can pick them up and move them. It's really great to be able to sit with it on your lap while you're beading. And this is necklace number 2, and let me take it off because I told you I was going to wear it, and I've been wearing it since I made it. Come on, there we go. I had to figure out which side of the thing my hook was on. And this is my first one, and this is my second one, and they are 2 statement necklaces with the Potomac Beads Treasure box, the Roaring 20s box from Potomac Beads for January 2024. I hope you enjoyed this. Maybe you learned something. And if not, you know, maybe you can teach me a few things. If you want to subscribe to this, subscription bead box, I will have a link in the description that you can use to follow. I find it is worth it. It is a really fun box, and they usually include a lot of materials that you can make things with, like we had in this one. Anyway, have a great day. Bye.